Alrighty, part 3. Told you these would be easy to make. Use the map. Simple as that. Now what do I mean by use the map? What I mean by use the map is the fact that you've got multiple maps on Blitz. Lots. I'm not even going to count them. Right? And to an extent, the more you play the game, the more you learn the maps. The trouble with this whole thing is, as a general statement, for a lot of players that is not true. The reason that is not true is effectively because they have what is known as their spot. So I'm not talking about having a preferred starting position. So if you look at this game, our protagonists, Commander Smith and Sai, have got a preferred spot, right? They've gone round to the light and med side because they're driving light and meds, and they're going to sit around here for a bit and watch what's going to happen. They've spotted up the enemy team, so that's assisting the team because you shouldn't be camping a light tank at the back. But beyond that, they have a preferred starting position, which is here. Now typically what you see in the game is people have a preferred spot on a map and they drive to it. So they're like, right, it's this map, I'm going to drive here, you know, regardless of the team composition, what's going on, this, that and the other. So they're not really using the map. And if you think about it, over a series of games, they're not going to learn like anything by doing that. So like on this map, all heavy tanks drive to the bridge. I'm driving a heavy tank, I must drive to the bridge. No, that ain't necessarily so. You can easily pull a heavy tank behind here, back up the lights and meds and push on through. You could drive it if you like, if you're careful, if you use the hard cover, into the middle of the map around spawn. You can flank in a heavy tank. You know, there's so many options on these maps, and yet if you look at them, you've got things like, what's the one at the moment? Port Bay, does my head in. They all drive to B. There's like this huge map, especially in Supremacy, there's this huge map, and they all just drive into B, into the little park area in the middle of it, and trade shots all game. That's it. That is Port Bay. That is the accepted way to play Port Bay. They're not using the map. You look at something like Vineyards. How many games have you played on Vineyards where they all just sit at the back on each side and flog each other? Or the heavy tanks, there's like one heavy tank and it just drives into town on its own and gets flogged. It's not using the map. Now the more you play this game, the more you will start to use the full potential of the map, you know, that poor old Wargaming have provided. The poor old bloody map developers at Wargaming, they've provided, you know, for a tablet based game, these massive maps, you know, especially at the higher tiers. The maps have got bigger and bigger and bigger, and the gameplay has got more condensed. Now the really decent players will use the full potential of the map. They will use not only map awareness as to where the team are, but they will use the edges and corners, and this is why I'm showing this game, because Commander Smith, much as he had his starting position, much as he's gone and had to brawl out those tanks over there, is now going to use every single corner of this map, and this is just experience. If you want to learn about maps, get a training room. Seriously, get a training room, and drive around the map in your tank of choice, and start looking at the spots on the map you might want to put that tank under any circumstance. Like your starting position, where you might want to start, and drive it round, look at bushes, look at ridges, look at whether you can shoot down, look at where you can get camoed up, and also start practicing, especially in lights and meds, using the edges and corners of maps. Because if you're driving a light tank, and even to an extent some medium tanks, TDs as well, definitely TDs, start pushing the red lines on maps. So look at the very edge of this map, which he's driving down at the moment. If you're pushing a red line on a map, the probability of you getting spotted is much lower, especially by something like a KV2 that can, you know, just one shot you in one game. So start using all of these attributes that are provided to you by the game. Like for example, that bridge there, he could have stopped a veered wanted and actually taken a shot over the side of the bridge at the KV2. What he's actually done is gone out and cleared the VK2801 because that's going to spot him and it needed to go. Now that kid there who's just got shot in the arse has not used the map, has he? He's just moved up here and just sat. And this is, look where all the burning wrecks are on the map. Look, there's 3 up here, and that's because they've pushed bridge, and then when plan A didn't sort of work out for them, they've either got flogged whilst trying to push bridge, or they've then sat up here in the camping position exposed and got absolutely whacked and wasted. So they've not used the full potential of this map. As you can see, Commander Smith's moved to the next spot, and he's just going to sit here and he's going to try and farm these guys up because he's got much better view range. He knows exactly that they're going to come for him. Now watch the moment that the KV2 pushes round to his side. He's going to start using the map again. He's just going to start abusing the light camo on the tank and getting the hell out of dodge, and he's going to move to the next spot on the map. Now I'm not saying that if you're a new player to the game you're going to know all of the maps, but what I am saying is that, like, experiment with the maps, try and do different things as opposed to driving to your spot and do something different. So if you look at something like mines, the reason that is one of the very worst maps in Blitz is not only because it's a poor map and it's one-dimensional, it's also because it's a map that is predominantly always served up at lower tiers. So like tiers 1 to 5, you get that map at tier 6 and 7 and 8 and X, and I have no idea why sometimes, but that map, for example, doesn't teach new players about map awareness and using the contours and edges of maps, and the reason for that is it's 1D. Everyone just drives up the hill, gets map control, has a massive sort of fight in the middle, and sort of the newer players, they sort of learn that that's what you do. You form an iron fist, you drive up the middle of a map, and you're going to win. And it's the very worst lesson that they can learn. So I think overall wargaming should be putting some of these bigger, higher tier maps into the lower tiers. It will improve gameplay overall. But anyway, that's just one man's opinion. So anyway, lesson number 3, importantly, start to learn the maps, and if you don't know the ins and outs of a map, get in a training room, drive around it, practice, and failing that, play in counter battle, but get out of your comfort zone. Stop driving to your favourite spot and start driving around the map and using it. Anyway, tip number 3. See ya. Bye.